Like we came over, it's like we've come over to your place for like a little yap sesh, Like that's what I
Yeah,
feel like, like that's kind of the vibe.
that's what I wanted. I
Yeah.
wanted us to have like a community of artists talking about things.
Yeah. Did you want to start with intro? Hi, my name's Quinn. I'm 32. I'm from Southern California. I'm a multimedia artist, kind of a lifelong artist. I've drawn, painted, sculpted, made things from trash. I can do pretty much anything. Fabricator, all that kind of art. Very opinionated, as you will find out, very opinionated. Um, I care a lot about artists and the way that artists are viewed in our society, in the way that we're treated, and trying to help artists move forward in life, getting past hurdles, um, and hopefully we'll be able to give you guys some things to think about.
That was so good.
I try. I'm like, I have the tiniest bit of media training.
You're gonna have to coach us now.
It's not hard. It's really not hard. Like literally, if I can tell anybody one thing, it's like faking it till you make it is literally the way that everybody does it. That's like
It's
not
how the
even like a
human brain
joke.
works.
Yeah, like being in LA and knowing like the people who have like made it, like it is all faking it until you make it. So it's like literally all just being like they don't need to know that I don't feel 100% about all the things that I'm saying. Like, am I proud enough of all of this shit to actually be like, oh my God, yeah, no. But do I feel like it's still, like the truth and worthwhile? It's like almost trying to like talk about yourself as if you're your own best friend in another room talking about you, you know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the way like I try and separate it, or else I can't get anything positive out. So
My problem is that I always assume that everyone hates me.
yeah, I
So
think
doesn't
I
help
think
me.
you have to turn it into be like, let them hate me. Let
Let
them hate
them
me,
eat
YOLO.
cake.
Yeah. Okay, Vic, your turn. Go. Who are you?
Oh, do I have to admit that I'm 39?
I was gonna say I'm not 32.
Age is a number. Age is irrelevant,
Age doesn't
honestly.
matter. Um, I also am a lifelong artist. I've always been creative. And I chose art as my major in college over anything smarter. But that being said, I'm a printmaker and textile artist. Um, and selfishly, I'm here to like find myself amongst the people. I have not been doing art for a very long time, in my opinion, which is probably wrong, and I'd like to be told otherwise and argued against. Why what I've been doing is what I consider not art, but it is. But yeah, selfishly, I'm here to learn, to do more, to put myself in my art, to put my voice out there. I grew up where children are seen, not heard, and I don't want my art to be silent anymore.
I'm Aubrey, and I'm in New York right now, but I spent a lot of time. I feel like I grew up in Germany because I spent all of my 20s there. I kind of graduated college and I was like, all right, bye. And I left Europe on an adventure. I am someone who kind of likes to just do things and like fly by the seat of my pants and figure them out as I go. I didn't speak German when I left the United States, but I kind of did by the time I left Germany. As far as my art, I spent a lot of time telling myself that I wasn't ready, that the stuff that I was doing or the messages that I thought that I had weren't good enough to be told to other people, or that other voices were more important, which I feel like is still true. But what I want to do now and what I want to accomplish with this is just we're kind of all important in our own ways. And the more that we're talking as artists, the stronger that we are. So, strength in numbers. So, I kind of just want to highlight other people who might be afraid to talk the same way that I was about that are our deepest thoughts, right? Because art is how maybe we're not the best with our words, but we're good with the things that we're making. And that's why we're artists, because we find other ways to kind of explain who we are. And so that's what I want to do with this. I'm a sculptor and a painter, and it took me a long time to be able to say that I like am those things, but I am. And yeah, that's me.
The imposter syndrome can be so real sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, literally, I had the thought the other day where it's like, as somebody who's been making art, I recently, like I found some old stuff, but it's like I don't have a ton to be like, oh yeah, I made that, like, oh, I made this 10 years ago or da 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 da. A lot of it, like, I made either for like a show or like something where I've sold it. And it's like I feel like, oh my God, am I enough of an artist to sit here and say like, oh, I don't have like a wall full of my own art or anything, or I've never even created something that could be considered as like a full like collection even. So I'm like, who am I almost? But I think just the fact that like we live in this world and we have the creative mind, let alone, just that alone, whether or not you're creating all the time or even creating, like you're still an artist. You're still viewing the world through like that lens. So I had to tell myself like, no, like your viewpoint is still important, even if you don't have like a huge plethora of art to show off.
Yeah.
I think something that I struggle with is that if people come to me and they say to me like, "Oh, I'm not this because I'm not doing this," I'll be like, "Stop telling people that. I can be the champion for everybody else, and I'll say you are an artist, you are doing
Hmm.
all of the things, you do matter. But when it comes to me, it's really hard for me to put that on myself." And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of like trying to exercise that muscle here where like I can appreciate other people's art, be the champion for other people, but also just be like, hey, I'm actually doing something worthwhile too.
Yes.
Um, and I think
I thought you were
just
going to say exorcise, not exercise.
maybe I did, okay.
Exercise that by exercising those muscles. No,
There's
you're
just
right
no way.
though, because no one should look at our text history because it's really just you yelling at me to do art and make art. So
I
you're
mean,
right.
I think it just comes back to like a lot of us having the love for others that we have a really hard time giving to ourselves. It's like the hardest part. And I think that transcends even being an artist. It's like that self-worth, self-love stuff that is just so, you know. But maybe even as artists, it's harder because I don't think we almost don't have like a rubric to self-love, I guess, the way that like, what would you
Yeah,
call it? The others, like everybody else does. Oh, you
that's a
do
good
these
movie.
things and then you're happy. We don't have that.
It's
But then
it's almost
even
transactional in a way with
Yeah.
ourselves. Like, I remember I was trying to figure out why I wanted to do this, and I thought, well, if someone asks me to paint a piece for them, or they want to like commission me to do something, I'll do it. No
Mhm.
questions asked, basically. It's always a yes. But do I ever do that for myself? No,
Yeah.
never. So it's tough.
also I feel like in the same vein of this, of like whether or not we want to admit that we're worthwhile as artists, it's like sometimes I'll do something by accident and it comes out really great. And there are
Mhm.
some times where I'm talking to people. Vic, I'm pretty sure I've this has happened. And I'm like, stop telling people that you messed up or that you did it by accident, you didn't
Mhm.
mean to, whatever. You did it on purpose.
Yep.
Don't,
Literally. Yeah.
like
They don't need to know. They don't need to know. Again, fake it till you make
exactly.
it.
Don't right and don't discredit yourself or give the disclaimer. It just makes them look at you in a
Mhm.
lower level. It just brings you
Mhm.
down a level when they could just praise you for doing the thing.
Well, if you don't point out the flaws, they might not notice them.
Exactly.
That's a big thing. A lot of the greats, say that. That was a big thing with, I mean, she's an artist in her own right, but like Julia Child always said that in the kitchen. What happens in the kitchen, fine. What you serve, as long as it looks good, nobody needs to know what happened. You know,
exactly.
it might not have been perfect, but now it is, and it's okay.
Mhm.
I love that. I mean, and that's honestly, yeah. It's just kind of like the best way to live, to be honest. Happy accidents.
Ah, Bob Ross.
Oh yeah, yeah. Another art ref. There you go. Again, art. Art
It's
influences
everywhere.
everything. It's just, go figure. I feel like actually something too where I'm like looking at, and I'm sure Vic, like I'm looking at stuff that you've done too behind you as well. I'm like, we all probably have something like this clock, like I did, which was like I totally forgot to be like, oh yeah, like I repainted this clock and like the face and everything, and like that's the kind of
What?
stuff that I do. Like that's the kind of stuff when I'm like, if I say like I have stuff to show off or like things that I really feel like I love stuff like that. Random things. But it's like I look at that and I'm like, does that make me an artist though, or am I like a craft
Yes.
person? Like because I feel like there's like that
Yeah,
intersection.
that that category. Ah,
Like
I actually
arts and
don't have
crafts.
anything behind me that I
Oh,
made.
really? I mean, like, well,
Yeah,
then you have a beautifully curated space, though, like a very
thank you.
beautiful artistic space. Like,
Libra.
oh, heck yeah. Oh,
Stuff I've
love
made that you
space.
can't see, but
Oh, if you could see the rest of this room, you'd be terrified. It's horrible.
and I'm sitting at my work desk, so there's stuff in front of me that is
Oh.
in need of help and work and stuff. But I do that when people come over, like, oh, look at this, look at that. I'm like, yeah, but look at this. This is made by somebody else.
That too. Also, like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but it's like, I mean, you do obviously because we're all here with each other. Where it's like, if I have another friend who's an artist, I'm almost like more about them.
Yes.
Like like not to spend all this time talking myself, but like I went to Little Tokyo this weekend with my friend Kelton, who does he's an incredible doll artist, Tang dolls. Like he did two new dolls for the Silent Hill F game that came out and they were incredible,
They're
and like we went
fun.
out. Yeah, I was blown away and seeing them in person, absolutely incredible. But like, so we went out and it was an event that day for the game in Little Tokyo as well, and like seeing the people just go crazy for his art. His art was just so like as an artist was just so gratifying. I'm like, this person worked so hard, and like everything here he's done by hand, and then like seeing somebody finally like get their flowers for it, like get their recognition of like, oh my god, like by the public, was so gratifying. And I think it like reminded me too where I'm like, yeah, we can all get that. Like that's out there for all of us, like.
Yeah.
And I know everybody, even people that reach that level of like, getting their flowers and recognition, like we all feel that like imposter syndrome still. I don't think it ever really goes away. Like really, really.
So I had two experiences recently, and I don't know if it was like a wrong place or right place, wrong time kind of situation, but so I had two very different experiences with artist kind of communities. One
Mm,
was in a very, very local space. It's a like historic show that's been going on for 75 years, and artists just come. It's a very almost like outdoor convention like atmosphere, so people
mm,
are to sell. But also it's just to kind of get the local community, artist community, together. And so I went there because I am new to New York again because I recently moved back. And I was like, okay, I just want to make some artist friends. And it was a situation where it was kind of like no one really wanted to just like gush about the art that they were making and tell me why they were making it and what they did and why they did it. And I just felt like unless you were like buying something, people didn't really want to communicate. And I don't know if that's just like it was the wrong area for that, like,
yeah.
or it wasn't the intention of the event, or if
Mm,
it was like, are we like not talking about our work anymore, or what is it? And then after that, a couple of weeks later, I was showing my work at a salon show, and that was like, you kind of like look at the I don't know like puzzle of all the different work that's put up on the wall, and I'm like, oh my God, I love that artist and that artist and that artist. Everyone's great, but like I know that these people are going to be my friends based on
Mm,
what they're making. And so I
Hmm.
made great connections that way, just like talking about all of the really like special interest nerdy things that I like to talk about that I usually have to apologize to my like normal non-artist friends
yeah.
for getting excited about. So like how do you guys talk to people about like because I feel like when I was in Germany too, I had like my ex was like I could talk to him about art, but if I started talking to him about all of the things that I was really excited about, like the eyes would just glaze over, like I'm like not
Yeah.
and like I feel like that's really hard if we're not talking to other artists.
Hmm.
What do you
Well, like having, I mean, I always have stuff to say. I just feel bad because I'm yapping so much. But like, I think here, at least in California, or in Southern California, at the events that I've been to, the vibe is a little different. It's like the last one I vended out with a friend, it wasn't my stuff. It was, it was his clothing brand, but there were still it was a mixed bag. There were a lot of artists around us. And usually the culture at an event like that is, you talk to your booth, neighbors and everything. And we do, but for the most part, and we did, we had a good rapport with people around us, but for the most part, the vibe was very like my friend draws all his own stuff, so he does his own art as well. So there was this kind of weird moment of like it seems like people don't really talk about their work in that way as much. There seems to be some kind of an air maybe of like a lot of fear around being copied or like a lot of fear around um I don't know, like maybe it is a lot of vulnerability as well, thinking about it deeper, but I do think that the vibe is a little different, or there's a little more like, why do you want to know? But that's
Yeah,
just my deduction, like I do think, however, I mean, and I have made good connections as well, though. And like you mentioned, like a salon show or something like that, where it's like maybe not so much vending, and I think everybody's kind of there with the mindset of showing off, maybe of kind of putting themselves out there a little more. But I think, but like you said, though, it's like when you can like focus on like one person where you're like, oh, this vibe connects. Like, I think those are, of course, obviously, but really worth, those are connections that are really worth following. Like, when you feel like through this art, this is speaking to me, because usually you'll find, that'll be a good connection.
yeah.
It's hard, like that vendor versus artist, quote unquote,
Hmm.
line. Like, where does it, where is it? Where is that line drawn? Is
Where's
it
the intersection? I'd like to
well,
find
and
it.
yeah, and because with social media and stuff, you have to be artist, marketing, the vendor, the packaging, you have to do all of it.
Hmm.
So it's putting artists in that box where they have to do all these extra multiple, all these other multiple jobs. And then do they become then a vendor and less of an artist, even though they're an art like it's
Absolutely.
very like confusing.
That's literally been kind of my dilemma, where it's like if my job was literally to sit at my desk and just create all day every day, I could do it, no problem. But it's the stress, but the stress, the difficulty of like things that I'm not capable of, also like I'm not an ad person. I'm not, I'm not good at posting every single day. I'm not, there's just like those things are not me. That's, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like unless you can perform that way as an artist, and you can also become that magical vendor that's so good at these things, which is so involved, it kind of just feels like, what's the point? I think that's what I battle at least a lot, is like that kind of vibe with all of that, if you can't be all things
Do
as an
you
artist.
think that artists have sort of, in a way, infiltrated the craft fair space in a
Yes.
way that crafters like have not infiltrated the gallery spaces?
Yeah, I so see that. I so see that because I could see being, an established crafts person who goes to these events, and your work is at a worthwhile, beautiful caliber even, but then you
Mhm.
have an artist who's like a specialist in this one niche little thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, so I've never even considered that, but absolutely. And I think that I'm sure a lot of craftspeople even may feel a type of way rightfully about that, you
Yeah.
know, where it's
And
like
do you think
now,
it's because we can't sell and we
yeah,
can't perform like that? So like it's the next best thing right now.
exactly, where you feel like a second choice or something.
Yeah.
Then also in that same vein, I feel like so when I went to that the basically the show that felt like a crafts fair like
The
convention,
market. Yeah.
I felt like the majority of the artists weren't ones that would be exhibiting in galleries. They were more like I when you can see like I feel like they were making art because they had a skill
Mm,
that they knew was marketable. So they were like their intention when they were making the thing
mm,
was to sell rather than to make art. And I feel like not to
gotcha.
even, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think
Yeah.
if you have a
You get
skill and
that?
you're making art, then you're an artist. I'm not saying
Mhm.
there's wrong with that, but I think that, yeah, maybe that's why also the conversations weren't really there because
Yeah.
they were also are operating in that crafts fair mindset because that's how they're
Mhm.
working.
That's such a good point. I mean, I think that that's kind of hits the nail on the head, though, where it's like the mindset, I think, at this point, too, when you go into things like that. And then how they, literally, because then you leave them feeling different about yourself, about other people's work, about your work. And like, I think a lot of the time, the disconnect maybe is from people with kind of like a craft fair mindset, which is, again, not putting that down, because, again, get your bag.
Yeah.
But like it maybe is a little more like quantity over quality,
Mhm.
like there's maybe a little more like I need to make this thing to make back this booth fee, but that's like a whole other thing, you're dealing with where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I do have a lot of this one thing that's not the best thing in the world, but it's like I needed to create that. I needed to do this thing I wasn't into just to make back this booth fee because if I don't have a booth, then I don't make money, da 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 da. So it's like, uh, I mean, I guess this conversation so far has really illustrated for us as artists, like the hoops, of
Yep.
feeling about ourself, and then it's like, you get enough, chutzpah to feel good about yourself, and then it's like, oh wait, but I also have to be this, or I don't feel good about myself again. You know, it's kind of exhausting. I mean, not kind of, it is exhausting.
But that's
Yeah.
why I really wanted to quit. Oh no, I fucked up.
No.
Okay, I wanted to quit doll making. So that's something I probably should have put in my like, hey, this is me.
Mm,
So I made dolls for since 2017.
That's fair.
And
I've collected Aubrey's dolls since
yeah,
2017.
I have one of her big boys I'm looking at right now, my favorite doll in my collection.
so the thing for me was I had to quiet myself down so much because I was like, okay, I'm already a niche within a very niche collector's market. So I have to make sure that I can be palatable to a wide range of people in this very tiny range.
Mhm.
Um, and so I felt like I had to like quiet myself. What was the word that I used last week, Vic? It was a good word. I forget. But I had to like,
Mm.
I don't know, but I had to like
Oh, God.
neutralize myself to like,
Minimize.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But
You just minimized your whole personality. Like you really you toned it all down. You diluted it, like what you
diluted.
wanted
There
to
you go.
say.
Dilute,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I felt like that was because um, because of that seller's mentality and I kind of am just I'm just sick of being quiet. I feel like I have a lot to say. I
Mhm.
actually felt like in 2016 I had a lot to say and I didn't because I was afraid of saying things and saying how I felt, but also um, I don't know. I think I was too critical of myself and my point of view and worried about like how others would perceive it. I had Quinn and I talked last week about like being misunderstood and how I have like a crazy fear of being misunderstood. And I feel like now I'm just like, you know what, this is a second time. History is
Yeah.
itself, and so I might as
Sports
well
burning.
just do it,
The
right?
universe gave
Yeah.
you a do-over.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if I had taken the chance
Could you imagine? No, don't
first
put that on
time,
yourself. No.
this
But
wouldn't
so
have
you
happened.
hesitated, right?
Yeah.
And that's something I think we all do as artists is hesitate when asked to explain what we're doing or why we want to do something that just is like this weird drive inside of us. Is that we just hesitate because of the imposter syndrome, the fear of rejection, the fear of ridicule, the fear of being told you're copying somebody else that you don't even know exists. There's
Ooh,
all these reasons and things.
so I have something to say about that, and I think that we should talk about this in general.
Mm.
So, copying. I fucked up again.
I fucked up again. Mood.
Okay, so I was doing an interview with Joshy Bear Huggies, who is a doll collector, and he had mentioned that he liked one of my dolls, this one up here. He's got like a mouth for a like with an eyeball inside of it, and like for his stomach, and wackadoodle little doll in it. And he was like, I was worried about buying this from you because I want to make it look exactly like the character that you made. And I was like, do it. I don't care. Because a lot of the times when I was making dolls anyway, the characters that I projected onto them for the promos all got, I mean, people took inspiration from those. They usually bought the color that the doll was presented in with and then gave it the same color hair. And I thought that was fine because I have a character, you can recreate that character to the best of your ability, but it's never going to be exactly the same as how I see it. And so I feel like that's something similar with art. So Quinn, you had touched upon being artists being afraid of like, if I tell you too much about what I'm doing, are you going to do something?
Yeah.
Are you going to maybe do it better than me?
Yeah.
And my view is like, no, we can have the same prompt and no one's ever going to make it exactly the same. So we might as well just talk about all of the things and then see how this monster just gets let out of the can and grows.
Exactly.
If we all have similar thoughts, then I think that it's great that we're all talking about those thoughts, because the more people that are talking about these thoughts, that probably
Percolating.
for the better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this can be a conversation and we're just shutting it down instead of unleashing it.
Yeah.
I've always believed in like a communal well of ideas that's just existed throughout history. It just seems like creativity is just this like endless, infinitely deep well of just ideas and thoughts and things that people can all draw from different places. There could be somebody in Japan that's doing similar things to like something I've thought about, and I might never know.
Yeah.
Crazy and cool and sad that I might never know. But
Yeah. I mean, to piggyback off of that and to not make it like too deep, but like literally going back to like the theory of everything, like matter cannot be created or destroyed. Like there is, my entire life I've always been told like there is no new idea under the sun, like, and I think I mean, not only for the person being what's the word, accused of copying, but for yourself as an artist, you have to remember like there's nothing new underneath this, under the sun, where it's like if something is copied, unless there's like a direct,
yeah,
correlation. It's like if somebody makes a vampire doll, okay, yeah, this person's also gonna make a vampire. It's like we're humans, we're inspired by a lot of the same things, especially when you get into niche subcultures, niche interests, niche whatever. The
did they
smaller you
stop
go
teaching
down,
that?
huh?
Did they stop teaching that there's no new ideas?
I don't
Probably.
hear that like I hear that like I used to. You know,
Right.
I used to
And
hear
is
that
it like
all the
the
time.
trends on TikTok and on social media where everybody is doing the same thing
Hmm.
differently? I'm like,
Regurgitating the same shit. You know, I mean, the same
But
stuff.
my God, they stopped telling people there's nothing new.
And I think ultimately though, I think that puts a damper on creativity in general, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
where it's like, so what if so and so did that? Do it yourself. When I when I initially came out, and I mean, let's make something very clear here right now. Nothing that I've done business wise has ever been major or really taken off, and that's okay. Just to usually have a home for it. But like I did little goblin plushes, and maybe like a couple weeks later, a very well-known artist who I know and actually really adore also put out their own goblin plushes. And I don't have a problem with that. Ours are different. Even though hers are manufactured and mine were, it's like it doesn't, those things like don't matter because at the end of the day, it it's a goblin. People are gonna make a goblin plush. And
Always
it's
filled
like,
with more goblins.
yeah. And I mean, like I had a friend at the time that was like trying to spin it like, oh no, you should reach out and da 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 da. And I'm like, but why? But
Right.
why? You know what I'm
But
saying? Like it's not one of those things. Now, I think it's different if, you know, you are an artist who works very hard on something and it's very obvious, but how often does that really happen for real, you know?
but even I feel like today too, because everything is not to blame social media for
Yeah.
everything. We're pushed to be unique
Yeah.
in a,
Mhm.
in a way that's like you can't have someone doing exactly the same content that you're doing. And it's like, okay, are we making art or are we making content at this point?
Hmm.
And
Right.
um, if you have your own personal brand and someone is doing something similar, then are they encroaching on your brand? Are you mad
Yeah.
that they're art that's similar to yours, or are you mad that you don't have like a corner market anymore? And then,
Right.
like on top of that, I think it's just it's like it's a vicious cycle because you're not having these discussions so that you can have your own ideas about a topic, like a broad topic,
Yeah.
and you're kind of like trying to be so individual, but then also, I don't know, it's
I get what you're saying. No, it tracks.
People like that are common with you so that you can talk about stuff, but also be individual and unique and still get out there and still
Hmm.
be seen as separate and independent of each other and
Hmm.
the people around you. Like you're
but
trying so hard to be niche in a niche.
Yeah.
and then at the same time, but now I feel like are we having movements? Are we having like art movements anymore? Because if we aren't talking about these things, then how do we have,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you know, like
There's it's the stagnant. It is. It's like a very, I feel truly like we are in a very kind of stagnant place. Like not only, I mean, like stagnant may not be the right word, but like a stuck kind of place, you know, in like the artist world as well as the rest of the world, obviously. But it's like, yeah, there's so many things like that that I feel like are just so taboo to talk about openly now. You know, like sharing your ideas and secrets with people because of things, and it's just like it keeps us in. Just to reiterate what you are your point though, but like it keeps us in this place of being stuck. You know, where we're not talking about like concepts and like understanding that just because we do the same concept doesn't mean it's copying or you know like being inspired versus being inspired you know by
Mhm.
something or by somebody like it's just an immediate jump to clause, you know, so
And
and so
violence.
copied me and we have
Immediately.
to go, you know, like and it's just it just again like in you know art imitates life or life imitates art, both are you know interchangeable in
Yep.
my opinion, but it's like just like everywhere else there's no conversation, there's no understanding or effort for understanding anymore. It's an immediate jump to you wronged me and now I have to send everybody after you.
right.
Yep.
And then, but I was also thinking too about like, so when you think about like popular art trends, I
Hmm.
think
Mhm.
about like first it was like the pour paintings where everyone was doing these like kind of organic paint
Oh
pours.
yeah, poor
So
Yeah,
like
ones.
swinging the paint so that it, makes the movement. And it's like I love this, but this is just like a technique. So like I feel like
crafting,
that
IMO.
right, but why don't we then take that a step further and then say, okay, if this is a trendy technique that everyone's using, then why don't we use this technique to say something? Because then
Mhm.
it takes it away from the, oh my goodness, you're copying. Because once you have something to say, if you're using that technique to say it, then no
Mm.
one is ever going to be able to make what you're making. So if you don't have, I don't know if this is a hot take, but like if you don't have something to say and you're just using the skill, then yeah, everyone's going to be able to replicate what you're doing. So again, it's let's have this podcast so that we can have the conversation so that none of our art looks the same and we're just like, you know, having a discussion and yeah.
And
No,
that's why
that
there's so many poor art acrylic coasters in the world.
Yeah, what?
I'm saying, I mean, that might have been a hot take, but it was a good take. And I mean, because I think like everything can live under the umbrella of yes, it's real art, except for AI. I'm sorry, not sorry, it's not art. Um,
That's
but like it's you can create art like a poor piece, whatever. But like I think like what you said though, it makes me think like it's about heart. Is your heart in it? What are you trying to say? Is your heart making you create this? Are you even trying to say something? And if not, that's okay. I don't think that alone makes it like, it's not it's not high art, but it's more so just like, yeah, what is your reason? More so not even what you're trying to say as much, maybe like what is your reason behind creating it? Is there emotion, is there feeling, is there anything? But
when
like,
you're a vendor.
yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
That's a vendor.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a vendor. Like, and it's like because you kind of are taking out and I mean, not to put it down, it's literally just like apples and oranges, we're all still fruit. But it really is like, I think it's about heart. I think it's about what you're trying to do, what you're really putting in it. What are the ingredients that make it like uneffable, like uncopyable? You're so different, even if you're doing the same thing as everybody else. It's about like what you put into it.
I always struggled with that, especially as a printmaker, because printmakers, like, one of the major things that we do is make duplicates
Mm. I get
and
what you're
editions
saying.
of things. So, like, I struggled to be like, all right, well, I've got like 25 of the same piece.
Well, I think that there's still, I mean, this is just me. I love to do this. I mean, like literally just blowing smoke, but it's the truth. Like I have a ton of respect for printmakers because not just the skill, but every single one, of a number that you're doing of a print is different. And I mean, like, even
Yeah,
if it's
no, that's true.
microscopic, the fact that even if you're an incredible printmaker where there's still that like 1% that will make this one like touched by hands and its own piece,
Yeah,
so like to me
that's why
that's still
one is different than 25
absolutely
every time.
absolutely, and I think like ugh, there's so much worth. I mean, worth can be found in anything, but then also what about artists who are creating from a place where they don't feel like they're worthy? Oh, like if they're creating and they're
Mm.
like, because I've been there where I'm
So
like,
are
there's
those
been.
people afraid of critique?
Yes. Oh my God. And people being afraid of a little bit of critique too, where they can't take any kind of, input at all.
Oh, that happened to me at the salon show. Let me not fuck this up. Okay, so so I was talking to one of the guys that I like had met who did something completely different from me. Like
Mhm.
I'm talking like he does these like geometric, like everything just disappears into a point
Oh
far off
wow.
into the distance, and like he sits there and does every little detail. It's crazy.
That's
It's
so hard to do.
amazing. His name is Robin Berry. If anyone wants to check him out, he does amazing work. So I was talking to him and I was showing him one of like the new pieces that I was working on. And he's just like, oh, like, have you? Okay, so it's a picture of a demon, and then he's got like, it's my mouth demon. Mouth
Mm.
is open. He's got mouths on his hands. His his real mouth is stitched up, and it's like there's a whole bunch of words in the background, like me being completely having a panic attack and having to write because there was nothing else that was going to help me. But it was saying over and over again, you can't shut me up. So he's got mouths coming out of his hands and his stomach because it's like if you're gonna tell me silence me one way, I'm gonna figure out a way to get all of this out.
Mhm.
And so the guy, Robin, was like, oh, why don't you use red here? And I was like, that would be great because I'm thinking about making some of them feel like whispers and some of them feel like background intrusive thoughts and some of them feeling like screaming, like just I have to
Mhm.
get this out. And he's like, immediate reaction was, oh my God, I'm sorry, you didn't ask for that critique. Like, should I have said that? Is that okay? And I'm like, of course that's okay. There's nothing that I want more than to speak to another artist who has an idea, because it's almost like tarot. Like, you're making me think about this in a way that I never would have thought about it before. So like, thank you. Yes, I
Mhm.
want to critique. And like that coming from this really great experience I had at this salon show where I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, these are the people I want to talk to. This is the way I want to talk. Being able to just give out ideas. And even in that space, it was like, oh, I'm sorry you didn't ask for a critique.
Afraid to offend you.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, yeah, I don't think, again, I think critiquing is kind of a dead art form, to be honest with you, because we don't have art being taught in kind of almost any way, shape, or form. The way, I mean, me saying tradition is pretty wild, but traditionally, we don't have, young artists, in school or whatever, really kind of having the moment of, okay, we're all working on this, and then we're going to gather together and have a critique, and really kind of learning what a critique is, how to not take it personally, even if it is personal, how to not take it personally, how to understand it's technically an opinion, like it people are so afraid of that. And I mean, granted, we have the right to be outraged right now. We do kind of live in the age of outrage where it is a little scary to go out there and make a comment, to an artist. But yeah, I think that, like,
People just want
that's,
validation.
yeah, exactly,
Or like
it's
that, when you give a critique and then they're
Mhm.
like, this is just my style.
hmm
I
Yeah.
did that when I was in art school. I did that so much, and I'm like, now looking back, and I'm not saying that everyone's like this, but me personally, it was not a style. It was
yes.
not knowing how to do something. So, you know, um, I don't. I guess as long as you're not condescending about it and you're actually wanting to help, like if someone wants to critique me, I'm
Oh, I'm out. No.
had to like.
I mean, if
Um,
someone's taken the time to form an opinion where they can deliver that to me in a constructive way, or
yes.
even just take the time to have an opinion, like
Yeah.
a real one, not like,
Yes.
oh, I
I want
like
to
that or
hurt
I
you
don't
and
like
I want
that.
to make you
Like
cry.
a real one.
Yeah. Yeah, and like what is a critique? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
to know what a critique is before you try to give, like, I think for the most part, if somebody is giving you a real critique that's well-meaning, it would be kind of almost hard to be like off the bat insulted. But like,
Mhm.
because I feel like some people are like, I was just critiquing you. And it's like, do you know what a critique is?
Yeah.
You know? Like, oh, I was just reading you, girl. And it's like, do you know what reading is? But yeah, I think that, like you said, that
Okay,
was
but
beautifully
wait,
put.
no, wait, but a read is way different
Oh,
than a
no, no, no,
critique.
apples and oranges. But it's more so saying like, oh, I was just doing that. And it's like, but do you know how to do the thing that you said you were doing?
Words don't mean what you think they mean.
Yeah. Yeah, context is everything,
I mean,
Like,
likewise, I don't want like baseless compliments over and over and over again in an echo
mhm.
chamber. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need for anything I've ever done. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah, please
know
no.
if something's wrong or if it doesn't look the way I might have intended, and then I can tweak it.
Yeah.
Okay, but also like F off because you can't tell me that you just want no compliments and
Oh no,
baseless
I want
compliments because
some,
no,
but
because
I
what this
want them
is
to be
telling me
thoughtful.
is that you're being hypercritical and you're not going to believe me when I tell you that I actually like something. So,
I
I want
mean,
them to be thoughtful.
yes.
And yeah, I know better words for this. My vocabulary is far greater but I've had a glass of wine, so
Oh, and we're,
I'll leave it
totally.
at thoughtful.
you know, you're like me. Your mom has told you that you're an asshole for your vocabulary.
Oh, literally. Oh my God. But is that all three of us? Because literally, and I'm like,
Yes!
don't hate me just
Yes.
because I'm educated.
He's like, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, what?
Oh, that's a new word. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they just added
It's
it.
actually a very old word. You just don't know it.
Language evolves and ah! But
I promise I'm still speaking English.
if sometimes I don't even do that well. And it's the only one I know. So, we're batting nothing for nothing over here.
Parting thoughts. I want this podcast to be kind of like mental health oriented because we're all like I think a lot of the ways that I viewed talking about art happened because of the way that I kind of grew up to feel like a lot of my idiosyncrasies and like my crazy visionary, since we're being culty,
Mm.
visionary like thoughts. Um, I was told so many times, and like Vic, I'm sure you mentioned this earlier. Like my parents, when they heard my like OCD ramblings, oh, just don't think about it. Just stop thinking about it. And so I feel like a lot of the art things that I'm making now are just like me channeling all of the things that I'm thinking about and not allowed to talk about, or like people would tell me like stop thinking about it when I can't. um and I feel like so much of this, like why we're making what we're making, is probably fueled by how our brains kind of function differently
Hmm.
Mhm.
so that we can be understood. And then I think someone, Vic, did you ask the question like, are you making art to be understood or to understand yourself? I think
Oh
that's
yeah, I asked you that last one time. Yep.
yeah. So
Yeah, I
that's kind
think.
of where I want this to go. What do you think?
Oh no, I just feel like art, like that reminded me of like another good point too of like, reasoning behind things where I'm like, art also is an incredible coping mechanism too.
Mhm.
And I think that's another huge thing that people don't understand where it's like some art is made through coping. I think some of probably the best art has been made through coping. Like thinking about pieces that I've done in like in journaling and stuff where I'm like, wow, objectively this is pretty interesting, and it's through that. But that just peaked, popped into my head as you said that because I'm like,
I
wow,
agree.
yeah.
Some of my most favorite things I've ever done have been with like zero control through therapy because I've
Mm,
like let go. And
Hmm.
I looked at like Aubrey and I got together, for a weekend and we made art, and that was therapy to me in a way.
look at
And
this.
it was so cathartic. I can't even.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think it got both of us to think in other ways than we might not normally do, which was very rewarding.
absolutely. And again, that's the connection.
Yep.
Look at it. That's
I
so
want to
pretty.
marry this person. I don't know who
Yes.
they are, but I want them.
It's like the most beautiful androgynous demon.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just so like, oh yeah, androgyny is like my favorite. I have a mustache and beard right now, but typically, I mean, before even, androgyny is everything. Androgyny is just that's where I live.
That's how I've always branded my stuff for in the doll hobby, was that it's androgynous. People come up and they're like, "Oh, do you have any girl or boy stuff?" I'm like, "Yes, I have
It's
stuff."
I have clothing. I have things.
Clothing doesn't have a gender.
No, it's literally fabric.
I feel like
Literally,
all of my demons are kind of androgynous lately. And
even
I
yeah, literally. Here, let me see if I can traverse.
I thought a lot of the girl demons were very androgynous, and it made me very happy.
Yes. I love a handsome woman, and people always mean that like no, like I love a masculine-esque woman.
Mhm.
It's just like
So
I don't know
good.
what it is. But
guess I'm
like this set,
obsessed with like the big noses and the I don't know, weird noses, and like I don't know, so they end up looking masculine, but I'm like I think they just look interesting.
I
I don't
think I was looking at him literally the other day and thinking like as manly as he is, there's just so much softness to him.
Yeah.
Like there's so like I look at this, like I look at them as characters, and honestly all of your sculpts that I've seen, even kind of the intense ones where it's like I look at these and clearly, yes, they're demons, they have horns and ears, but it's like when you really look at them, you're like, this being would not hurt me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
There's so much softness in them. Like
Well,
this would be like Hellboy essentially. You know what I'm saying? Where he's like, yes, he's a demon and yes, he's kind of dangerous, but like his MO is not like to kill you.
Well,
oh,
that's
so my
the
message
power of
did get
that
in
same
there.
one.
His little bird
My
hands.
house is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Triple
This
one. Yes,
oh
the same one.
I love this sculpt so much in
I
like
have
every
every version of
iteration.
it.
I was literally telling her the other last week, I was like, the first version of him that you did was when I initially was like, oh my God, did I just freeze on you?
Yep.
Sorry. Was like, oh my God, I need that doll. Like, and then she came out with this one, and I was like, oh my God.
But like that was my intent behind mine was because he's an incubus. He's supposed to
Uh,
be so soft and yet so not at the same time.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be, I feel like I finally decided on him being like half demon, half satyr. Like there's some satyr going
Yeah.
on. So he can be
But
like,
like, what are demons except for like are angels and demons just like the unseelie and the seelie fae? Like,
technically, I mean,
right?
it depends on what theology, but I I'm thinking it's Irish specifically. I could be wrong, but there's a story I was told a long time ago where basically the fairies, like when the angels fell from heaven, when God cast them from heaven, or Lucifer and his followers from heaven, there were the angels that fell or that landed, in hell. There's the angels that landed in on Earth. There's the angels that landed in the ocean, and then there's angels that stopped in the air, and those are fairies. And then the water was the undines, those da 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 da. So almost in the same story, I can actually send it to you. I found the doc on YouTube, but he explains like where it's like there's God, the devil, and then there's a third way, and fae and fairies have always kind of been the third way. And
That
I'm
is
like,
so wild because I have
yeah,
a whole like lore behind I have a character named Titania because I'm super creative. She's my queen of the
I what's a
fae,
good name?
and her hair, when she loses a strand of hair, wherever it falls, it makes a fae.
Oh,
So there's like mushrooms and water and charcoal and like literally there's all these things as long as it's like natural.
I love that. See, and like that,
And that's like like very similar. This is a
yeah.
communal well of
It
information.
is. And I mean, that's the thing, like, I could go on about fairies forever. I mean, it's all hand in hand. I mean, it's also hand in
Yeah.
hand, but it's like, it, in the vein of ideas, even, when you look at things and even being spiritual and woo woo about it, I'm like, when you look at fairies and stuff, I feel like that's all around us. I feel like the lore of
Mhm.
fairies and everything is intrinsic to, I don't have all the answers, and this sounds woo woo, but like, there's something deep in humanity with that, like where I feel like when we think about when we're inspired by it and the ideas we gain from it, we're getting those from some kind of knowing, some
Because
kind of
it feels the
knowledge.
most plausible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, that's how I kind of approach all of the demons and all of the angels too, is because like I don't think so in the way that I'm making them for my paintings and sculptures and everything, they're not necessarily good or evil, no matter
Yeah.
like regardless of which ones they are. It's more like demons are kind of ruled by their passions and the things that make them individuals, and they're looking for knowledge and like bettering themselves and
Mhm.
bettering people.
Mhm.
And angels are more like rules and structure and like the hierophant.
Yeah.
And so they can go either way. Either one of them can be bad. So,
That's
um,
very
Mhm.
Seelie Unseelie. That's
that's
very much the vibe of the Seelie Unseelie.
yeah,
I
I
think
was really inspired by that to come up with this whole lore. And then also, I don't know, I dived into like all sorts of different religious texts that like just it's an amalgamation of all different
All
thing.
that good lore.
You're gonna tell us all about it another time.
Yes.
Another time, because I think we're done for today.
Yes.
This was good,
It
guys.
was so much fun. It was so nice to meet you, Vic, finally.
You know,
Yeah,
like
it's like, should we like I stop?